Jeremiah's prophecy in Jeremiah 34 to Zedekiah. And yeah, right, Zedekiah's going to live in peace and everyone because we relent over him. And we know that Zedekiah was ultimately, as it recorded in the book of Jeremiah, had his sons executed before his eyes, and then his eyes were taken out. So the last thing Zedekiah saw were his sons, probably dressed in their princely robes and made up to their full princely splendour, slaughtered in front of his eyes. And then his eyes were taken out, so the last memory he would have of his sight would actually be his sons being murdered and executed under King Nebuchadnezzar's orders. Was this prophecy a failed prophecy? Can you actually say it's a prophecy that failed? Okay, if I say to you tomorrow in the name of the Lord that a hurricane is going to fly straight across America and no one is going to get injured because it's actually going to leave just a trail of snow, and it doesn't happen, that's going to be a failed prophecy. Okay, and it's a failed prophecy and a false prophecy as well on top of that, because I've said it in the name of the Lord as well. Can God say this will happen, this is what's going to happen to you, and it be a failed prophecy if it doesn't happen because of someone else's failing? In this context, especially from what you've been saying, God was actually going to be faithful to his word. If you see, the whole chapter is in fact on it's Jeremiah 34, is God making a promise to Jeremiah, through Jeremiah to King Zedekiah, that he would live in peace, etc., and he would die, and there were people would lament for him, and as he would be buried with his fathers. Then you go on to actually see that covenants are being made between after the law, after this prophecy, and other words are spoken by Jeremiah, as it gives reference to, that effectively reminded me very much of the promise of Jubilee in the Torah, and the people are going to are going to free their bondservants who have been their bondservants for several years, and they would actually not hold another of their Jewish brothers in bondage. And the officials and the king, etc., agree to this. So this prophecy is being given in the light of covenants being made, and it being conditional on the covenants being made and the covenants being kept. Now, as it says further on down, that all the officials and the people who had entered into the covenant, that each man should free his servant, goes on in verse 10 later on, but afterwards they set them free as they promised, and then in verse 11, but afterwards they turned around and took back their male servants and female servants whom they had set free, and brought them into subjection for male servants and for female servants. And the Lord goes on to once again to say that through the word of the Lord through Jeremiah, that they made a deal. He made a deal. He was going to be faithful for it, but the people had turned away again. They had broken the condition under which the promises were being made. God hadn't done it. The people did it. It was the people who made the prophecy fail, because they went back on their word that they had made. And would it be any wonder that if you, as a father myself, okay, if I said to my son, this isn't the correct analogy for what it would be for God, of course, but if I said to my son, I have got a lollipop for you if you're a good boy and you sit down and eat up all your Brussels sprouts, or eat all of your semolina for pudding, that I'm going to give you that lollipop afterwards, And when it comes to dishing up the semolina after taking a few mouthfuls, like a good boy would, him suddenly going, yeah, and knocking the semolina all over the floor. No, I would not be a good father if I was to give him the lollipop as reward when he totally went against the conditions that I'd set down. Okay, totally went against what it would have been for me to fulfill the promise. Okay, and this is what we have here. So yeah, Zedekiah did die a prisoner. He did die blind, but it's not a failed prophecy because he stepped outside. And as it was with the Old Testament law, that everything was conditional. Everything was greatly conditional. That sacrifices needed to be made. The law was broken. That if people wanted to get the full benefits of a covenant that they made, they had to keep. They had to keep the covenant, keep the terms of it, for them to be able to walk in the benefits of it. And that's why there were sacrifices, because sacrifices were a sign of a broken law, a broken covenant. So, sorry, this isn't a failed prophecy. This is a prophecy. This is a tale how, once again, man failed, and man, and under any deal, God was not obliged to honour it.